Welcome to How's the Market, a podcast from your friends at Keeping Current Matters, where we host conversations that will help you save time and build confidence so you can stand out as the market expert. And I'm your host, David Childers. Today's conversation is with Alexa Kebalo, a realtor and leader of the Kebalo team at eXp Realty in Connecticut. Alexa launched her career in 2011 and has been since named Connecticut's Realtor of the Year and Realtor Magazine's 30 Under 30. Now, here are the three things that I want you to listen closely for. One, how the height of her career was also a low point in her life. Two, what being a consistent voice in the housing market can do for your business. And three, listen for tips on how to create your own inventory. So Alexa, welcome. I think your perspective on this is unique for everybody listening. And that is you're a team leader, right?
That's right.
You're a coach. And you are probably, and I don't want to get into this yet, but I want to say this to you. You are probably one of the best, if not the best, taking a relevant, what I always call a relevant market opinion based upon fact, delivering that through your local TV station and really being the authority. So I want to get into that because I know there are a lot of people that are interested in understanding, how do I do that? What's the first step I take? How do I be that authority in my market? You use KCM for it to deliver that message. So if we kind of back up, you said, you started the business in 2011. I know your family's been in the business for a while. Tell us a little bit about your team, about the business that you run, and really right now, how is the market where you're at?
Yeah. So I love this question. So, I mean, in the last 12 years, I can't believe I can say I've been doing this 12 years. I mean, like really, time flies when you're having fun, / when you're running around and running, But one of the things I talk about is running your business instead of letting your business run you. So When we talk about my career, so I was so fortunate to have gotten in the business with my mother, right? The reason why she got into the real estate industry is because my grandfather, Paul, he was an immigrant from Ukraine. He had a vision. He took risks. He bought a big piece of property in South Windsor, Connecticut, and he developed the first ever 55 plus condos with his vision with the help of my father and my uncle.
Wow.
And it's so amazing because I've experienced firsthand the beautiful American dream and what that can do, not only for myself, my family, what I've seen it done for them. And now it's truly in my heart and it's part of my purpose. It's helped others realize their American dream.
That's amazing.
So I think starting from the core of the why, I really believe, and we talk about it with KCM, is what the average net worth of a homeowner is 40 times greater than that of a renter. And that is true. That's a statistic, but it's not just a statistic, it's someone's life. So talking about that, when I got into the business, it's funny, I was studying at UConn and I made up my own major called consumer behavior, business psychology, sociology, and communications. And I literally was hooked as soon as I did an internship at my mother's office. I love to see people coming and going. I love to see that there was no ceiling but no floor. But as realtors, there really is no floor. We wake up every single day unemployed. And with that, we have to make sure we're always on. We're always like that hustle culture. So my long story short is that I put my head down. I really worked my you-know-what off. And in 2019, I found myself as Realtor Magazine's 30 Under 30 in the nation. And I was like, this is great. I've quote unquote made it, I'm successful. However, David, what I always share with people is that it was a height in my career, but it was truly a bottom in my life. At that point, I didn't realize that, the business was running me. I wasn't running the business. And I actually lost the physical ability to be able to speak. Yeah. So for about 2 whole years, I went to every doctor, every professional. They literally were like, we don't know what's wrong with you. And it made me pause. It made me delegate and elevate. It made me finally let go of some of those responsibilities and allow myself to be surrounded with team members. My mother, my business partner, my mentor, my best friend, we really had so many conversations on how can we take more off my plate to allow myself to be able to heal. And I'm so grateful for that, David, because I think as realtors, we so often are on that transactional treadmill, that hustle culture that we talk about, and being busy is like a rite of passage. And, oh, they're busy. You know what? We have to learn how to delegate and elevate and use our voice to the highest and best. So long story short, I finally figured it out. I went to every health type of expo and this and that. And I'll never forget when this woman was sitting across from me and she's like, I know what's wrong. And it was the first time I was actually vulnerable. I was like, my voice isn't working and I don't know what to do. And as I was saying that, my voice gave out. Keep in mind, at that time, I was volunteering in my local and state association as in leadership positions. I was running networking groups. I had an amazing business. And there I was. It finally hit me. And this woman goes, Alexa, I know what's wrong. She's like, I am a breathing therapist. And for as long as you and I have been sitting across from one another, you have not breathed properly into your diaphragm.
Wow.
Doing what we call shallow breathing, which essentially means you're cutting off your life supply and suffocating yourself slowly. And what I learned was that because I was operating at such a high level, as such a top producer, I literally was not doing the basics of life, which was breathing.
Wow.
So that brings me to the here and now. That was my biggest kind of blessing, right? It was a lesson and a blessing. And it made
I want to interrupt you for 1 second because I want to ask you a question about that, because I think there are people listening right now in this business that would say, I am there, right? I am. In the old saying, there's always been, you're busy, but busy doing what?
That's right.
Right? There's plenty to get distracted with. There's plenty to do. What do you say to the agent right now that says, I'm there, right? And a lot of times, I'd love to hear your perspective with your team. A lot of times when we're running fast and things are moving, you kind of forget about that. Then we come through a market like we're in right now, much more, a market shift over the last year, a much more normalized market. And people are like, I feel that much more.
I'm so glad you asked this question, because I often look back and I think to myself, how could I have seen the signs sooner? What could have helped me to have avoided what could have been, I could have been a statistic, David. The average realtor, 87% exit the business the first year and then 20% attrition year after year after that. These are facts. And especially going to this turbulent market or this trying market where there's much less sales, which we'll talk about, I think it's so important that people are more purposeful and more attuned to themselves so they know how they're showing up in the world. So as I look back, and I actually heard Jay Shetty speak at NAR's convention last year in Orlando, and I actually got up and asked him this question myself. And it was like incredible because I had that exchange with him. And there's probably a room of like 2,000 or 3,000 people. And I had to bring light to this vulnerability and to have this conversation and to include people so they had not only some guidance from someone like Jay, but also so people can understand we can't just always put our head down and push through. We have to pay attention to how we feel. So Jay said, you know what, Alexa? He said, you need to make sure that you're checking in with yourself. We make appointments with everyone else. We make appointments with every client, with our family. I don't know about you guys, but I schedule time in with my family and friends and whatever's important to me. So he said, make sure you spend time each and every day to check in with yourself. Not only how do you feel, and sometimes it's hard to know how you feel when you're just go, right? Like sometimes I'm like a train, like going 1,000 miles a minute, but also take an inventory on, number one, the activities you've spent your time on. And is that your highest and best use? Is that your highest and best contribution? Often you could tell if it's your highest and best contribution based on the feelings you get, right? I know later today I'm going to reflect back on doing this podcast with you and say, I got to spend time with David, a friend of mine, and got to create some great content and hopefully help someone. I'm going to look back on today and say, that was great. So not only doing an inventory on your activities, but also, who did I spend my time with? Did I spend my time running around 99% of the day, with perhaps clients, or did I have any time with my family and friends, right? So checking in with yourself, checking on the activities you've done, is it your highest and best contribution, and checking in on who did you spend the time with? Because
Right.
today's a blessing. Today could be the last, right? No one knows.
Yeah, absolutely. So for you, when you think about that highest and best use of your time, what for you right now in your career, what is the highest and best use of your time?
Yes, I so love this question. So going back to when I lost my voice and when I regained my voice, I made a promise to myself, listen, there's nothing worse than not being able to physically speak.
Right.
So when you have that gift and being able to speak, I said, I'm always going to use my voice for good, whether it's one-on-one with consumers. My biggest thing is helping guide people and using the knowledge that I have. And it's not just information, it's applied knowledge on the housing market to help people, to guide them in the right direction. Because a lot of people live in fear. And we talk about this often. There are so many conflicting, fearful headlines. And
Right.
it is our job as realtors to be able to help people, let's say one-on-one, or if you're speaking to a group, to educate, inform, and empower. And now, through that mission and vision of myself using my voice, I've gotten the ultimate platform, which is once a week. The producers called me, right? Just because I've consistently been putting out content and consistently set my intention that I want to use my voice for the highest and best good through the
Right.
real estate industry, coaching my agents, helping guide my consumers in the state of Connecticut and beyond. Because of that, I've had an incoming call from a producer at a CBS affiliate in the state of Connecticut. And they said, Alexa, we're starting this new show called Great Day at 9A. And we would love nothing more for you to be the weekly realtor expert contributing to your insights on the housing market and the latest and greatest. And
Right.
David, when I got that call, I was like, is this for real? Of
Right. That's
course I
awesome.
do this.
Right. That's like the call that everybody dreams about, is that I'm doing the right thing. Somebody reaches out. So let's talk about that call. When you got that, were you like, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to share, or how did you go from there to I'm going to show up on this segment and deliver my expertise? Back that up a little bit,
Sure.
because I think there's plenty of people that are very interested in how that flow is gone, and maybe even before that, the disciplines that put you in that seat to get that call.
Yeah. So for me, it was very natural because I was already being a voice for the housing market. Any
Right.
opportunity I had, whether it was, like I mentioned, one-on-one with clients, speaking to a group, like I'll present on the housing market to various groups throughout the state of Connecticut. And I highly urge, anyone that's listening to really consider, who can I share my insights with, whether it's your networking group, whether it's maybe a group you're involved in and you want to offer your services to share the insights on the housing market. Or in my case, I also did a lot on social media.
Okay.
I would take the opportunity, let's say I was sitting in the driveway before a listing appointment, or let's say there were new statistics that came out or a change in the market that I wanted to comment on, or a new news article, or perhaps a monthly market update from KCM,
Yep.
or one of the blog posts. I would literally take that insight. I would take a moment and I would either make a reel. I would go do a live. I love lives because you're able to strike while the iron's hot. And I want to leave you guys with a few tangible takeaways. So the Instagram or Facebook stories, I find to be super impactful because you have moments in your day, not only where you have a little bit of time, but also when inspiration hits, right? So that's a very low-hanging fruit and low barrier to entry, just pressing go live or doing your Instagram or Facebook story. And it truly is very authentic and it comes across to people in an authentic manner. So I was doing that on the reg. I was making that part of my normal practice to be mindful of, let me use up any time I have. And then simultaneously, I really believe in giving back to my industry. So I've been involved in volunteer leadership on the local, state, and now the national level for probably about 10 years now, maybe 9 or 10 years.
A local association?
Correct. The local realtor association. So just 2 years ago, I was president of the largest local association of realtors called the Greater Hartford Association. And it's crazy, David, because again, I came from someone that just wants to serve and someone that wants to help
Right.
and someone that loves protecting private property rights and the American dream. And in doing those different leadership roles, and also on the state level, I serve in the executive committee as vice president. I had many opportunities where they would reach out, the media would reach out to our association and say, hey, we need someone to comment on X, Y, and Z. And even when I wasn't president yet, let's say the other ones, ahead of me, they would perhaps get the call and maybe they'd be on appointments or, listen, it's a lot to get yourself ready, right? Like let's say it's noon and I get a call from my association. They say, they want to hear from you about the housing market by 3 p.m. today. Guess what? I rearranged my schedule to be able to show up for those type of meetings. And I would also show up knowing, you know what? Who knows how this is going to go off, but I'm going to do my very best. And you better believe anytime I'd have an opportunity, I'd look at my local data and I would also look at KCM to see what's the latest. I'm not kidding you. Literally, and I have chills right now saying this. I felt so confident going into any type of interview because I knew I could very quickly find whatever information I needed on the KCM site, the monthly market report, right? To look at what's the latest. And within 10 minutes of studying those slides or listening to the update, because I love to listen and I'm a visual type of learner as well, I would feel empowered to then show up at my local news station.
The best agents know what's happening nationally and also know what's going on in their local market. At Keeping Current Matters, we help real estate agents become experts. And now, we've added something that will change the way you communicate. KCM Local. With KCM Local, you'll now have access to local data, national insights, and powerful visuals, all in one place. To be the local expert, visit keepingcurrentmatters.com.
I want to go back for a second because you have a team, you're a coach, you're coaching people outside of your team. What do you say, or how do you coach an agent that says, Alexa, that sounds great, but I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can get on video. We have a product, Real Talk, that gives you the script. You hold your phone up, you're doing the recording, but people that go, I just don't know if I can do that. How do you coach them?
I love this question. So all I tell them is, listen, I didn't know if I could do it.
Okay.
I didn't know that I could do it. I will never forget the sleepless nights I had for about 2 weeks leading up to my first Facebook Live virtual open house. When I tell you I slept with one eye open for 2 weeks, I'm not exaggerating because I was so concerned and I had so much energy and, so many nerves. Yeah. And what I do when I talk to my agents that I coach, I tell them, I say, listen, yes, you're going to have nerves, but we're not going to say that we're nervous. It's very important that we talk to ourselves. Our words mean a lot. Our words have a lot of meaning when we speak with others and also our self-talk. So what I tell them, I say, yes, you have nerves, but you have nerves because you care.
Right.
And use these nerves, harness these nerves and this energy so that you're able to use it in a proper way. Yeah, you're excited. It's natural to have this energy pent up. So let's put it towards something that's going to really be impactful. And what I always say is, it's not about you. I always envision the audience. As I'm driving to the news network, before I go live, I'm literally envisioning, I'm like, okay, what is relevant for me to talk about here today? What is the message? Who do I want to talk to? And they always say envision your audience, but I really mean that. Think about the little grandmas that are going to tune in to Great Day at 9A, or the people that are home that are, having their morning coffee. Or before I go live, I think about my realtors that are on there that may need to hear an encouraging message.
Right.
And I literally make it about them and being sure that I'm a conduit for this information versus how am I going to look? How am I going to sound?
It's such a good reminder, because I think most people, and I'll speak for myself, listening may go, well, I feel like I'm focused on, the business or the content, but really, if I'm struggling with, I can't do that, I'm focused on myself, right? You got to be prepared, you got to be educated, you got to be ready to do it. But more than anything, that little nuance of this is not about me. And the reality is most people care about themselves. They don't care about what you look like and what you have on. And you're the only one that cares about that, or I'm the only one that cares about that. And I think that's such a big point in kind of thinking about what we do and being intentional to switch that to what do people need to hear? What is the information that you have access to that other people don't, that in your example, somebody needs to hear or can make a better decision or is informed based on hearing that. So moving it from you to them, got that.
Yeah.
What about what's been good for you? Because you can do that on social, about being involved in your local association, being a coach, being involved, because I know you're involved with NAR, about that piece, in addition to social.
Yeah. So really it comes down to being informed and engaged. I know that I don't know it all by any means. However, I do know that I'm highly engaged. I'm in all the rooms that I want to be in. I also know that I'm a learner where I need to be in the room versus reading an email about the decisions that were made after. I also, as far as being involved with the local, state, and national associations, I also care, right?
Yeah.
Going back to my why, right? We always say if real estate's your career, then being involved in politics and advocacy for home ownership, that's your business. So who am I to critique the way that things are being, handled, let's say in the local, state, or national association level, if I'm not actually going to engage, right? And I believe that by being engaged and informed, I'm able to then, although I don't know it all, I know probably more than most, and I feel more confident and more grounded in what I know. So I'm able to now use my voice to help my agents, to help the consumers, to show up on my local news network and different national opportunities and be confident, right? I'm confident that I'm doing the best I can do. And at the end of the day, that's really all we can do. Just show up as your...
Yeah, I think that piece of confidence, I even tell people all the time, I get a call and somebody will say, I'm a new agent. What should I do with KCM? And my coaching to them is every month, listen to the monthly market report and you'll understand what's going on with real estate. But I think it's the same thing. It doesn't have to be just that. Love that. If you want to do that, do it, please. But being in a place where you're getting the information that puts you in control. That you are the expert, that you are the one that says, hey, I know what's going on and I'm listening. So with that, being out there on social, being active in not only community, but being active in associations or agent-related groups. So what do you say to the person that says, hey, I want to do what Alexa's doing. I want to get the call from the producer at Good Day at 9A and be that. What do they need to be doing right now? What's the first step they can take to go down that road?
They really have to start taking action, David. Number one, they have to educate and inform themselves. And when they're educated and informed on what's happening in the housing market, and of course, listen, there's tons of information out there. There's too much information.
Right.
That's why I'm a KCM member, because I want to be able to go to someone, the resource, right? The resource of all the information, making sense of it. You guys save me so much time and energy. So I know I can trust what you guys are putting out there. So that way I'm able to then understand, right? So inform and empower yourself. Once you feel empowered, now you're able to take that information and on that one-on-one consultation, be able to eloquently speak about it. Now you're able to download those slides to your phone, You know how many of those KCM slides I have in my photos? Someone at a cocktail party is like, how's the market? Well, it depends. What are you looking to do? And then I literally have it in hand. Okay. So having that toolkit and then being able to, don't be shy about rising to the occasion, right? I shared that story about how I did not sleep for 2 whole weeks leading up to that Facebook Live virtual open house. But guess what? I showed up. My hand was shaking uncontrollably, but I was doing it. So I also say, educate and inform yourself. Educate and inform yourself enough that you feel empowered to take action. And yes, you will be scared, but you have to tell yourself, yes, I'm nervous, but it's nerves. It's just nerves. Let me harness this for good. And what avenue do I want to take action in? You may not know what resonates with you yet. So start doing it naturally one-on-one with the clients. Then maybe you're part of a networking group. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to speak on the housing market. Everyone wants to know, how is the market? Where are we headed? Where have we been? So raise your hand and offer. It is your job to also educate and empower the consumers. So take that action, go live, take those steps, and then before you know it, you're going to live that empowered educator type of energy, and you're going to get calls from producers just like me.
Right. Well, I think what you're saying is look for that opportunity. Look for the opportunity to do that. You know, it's sitting right in front of us or in your pocket right now on your phone, right? That's an opportunity that sits with every one of us. There's opportunity that presents itself in a chance to share in an association or in another group, or I keep thinking about, you talk about networking like a BNI type group or whatever, kind of networking group you're in. Those are out there. Those are opportunities. Even I would say this. If you want to become a better communicator, putting yourself in the position to communicate is what you have to do. And that could be joining a group like Toastmasters, where you just get the chance to talk. I just need some chances to talk, and getting it out there. We started off this conversation. It's kind of interesting. Talking about our good mutual friend, Renee Rodriguez. And Renee is one of the best at teaching people how to speak from their heart. He's got a phenomenal program. You can Google Renee Rodriguez, and you may even know what the site is there, Alexa. But his program, I think he has a 2-day program that teaches you how to speak from the heart. I would highly encourage you to look at that, but look for those opportunities where you can take that chance and speak to people you're networking with, speak to people that are trying to speak, learn how to do it effectively, because that's what's going to pay off in the business when you get the chance. When you get the call, the big deal here that I'm taking away from it is when you got the call, you were ready. There are plenty of people that probably want the call, maybe not be ready.
You're so right, David. And yes, so his website is meetrene.com, metrene.com. And listen, I've always had a gift of communication, and I think it comes from speaking with my heart. But Renee helped me really be able to fine tune, and he really leaned into, the way that we're able to influence and impact others for good. I highly recommend, like you mentioned, like different groups like Toastmasters, just get out there and start communicating, and start being that empowered educator, and then being open to the opportunities that come your way. And often that means saying yes, even if you're not 100% ready. Do you know how many times I said yes to an interview when I was like, oh, wow, I have to be on Zoom for this interview with NBC within the next 2 hours? And I'm also in my pajamas because it's COVID. Sure, I'll do it. How many times? David, one of my first interviews ever, I actually was in quarantine in Fort Myers, Florida, with one of my dear friends, Kinsey. I had COVID, but I was like, you know what? They need to hear about the housing market. They've reached out. I'm a yes. Let's get the Zoom up. Am I 100% ready? No. But guess what? Over time, when you push yourself, you're going to grow out of your
I think you're right.
And then before you know it, you're a pro.
You're absolutely right. So I appreciate you sharing that. Let's kind of shift for just a minute, because I want to talk about this market we're in right now, right? This is a different market than the last 2 years, without a doubt, right? So give me your perspective on this market.
So this market is a market that is going to be challenging for everyone, right? But there's so much opportunity. Literally, there's no inventory. So what can we do? We use it as an opportunity. We have so many buyers that are looking for a specific home or in a specific neighborhood or a condo complex. And I actually coach my agents to do just this. What you're able to do is take your client's needs and then reach out to the property owners in that subdivision, in that condo complex. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, hey, it's Alexa Kebalo with eXp Realty. Do you have any interest in selling? Because I have someone that just missed out on a property in your neighborhood. And I help teach my agents how to do this, not only with phone calls, but also with letters. And there's very strategic, and I'm happy to go through this with anyone that reaches out, but it creates so much opportunity. And guess what? That Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, they're like, you know what? I would like to sell, but I don't know where I'm going.
Right.
You know what? I'd be happy to help you with that as well. So literally use this opportunity to create your own inventory. The very worst thing that's going to happen is it's a no. But guess what? The very best thing that's going to happen is it's a yes, and you help them go where they're going. And guess what? Somewhere in the middle, you build a relationship, you ask for their email, and you keep in touch with them with a weekly email. As one of my best friends and business partners, Ricky Crute, says, you send them that weekly email. And for me, I actually lean on the KCM stuff. I'll take the blog post. I'll actually use that blog post, whatever relevant topic that I want to talk about, I'll talk about it on my news station. And then I'll also repurpose that clip from the news with the KCM information, not only put it on social, but then I'll put in my weekly newsletter that I send out to everyone. So use this market as an opportunity to create relationships, help the people. Everyone knows there's no inventory. So let's help people in this manner to make moves. And the agents that lean into this, my realtors that I'm coaching through this, they are having their best year yet. So what? According to the Greater Hartford Association of Realtors, we're down by 40% for inventory. Guess what? That's a great opportunity.
Tell me about an agent that you're coaching that's having their best year ever.
Oh my gosh. So literally one of them actually just reached out to, on behalf of their client, to a condo complex. Okay, there's 165 units in this condo complex with this specific creating inventory campaign. They got 8 listing calls and have 2 listings from it. And now their buyer that they're selling to. So it's just the compound effect. And this realtor's 2 years in the business, right?
Wow.
We have a very unique opportunity. If we just shift our mindset and shift our gears, instead of waiting for something to be listed on the MLS, use that buyer demand to help you build relationships in the marketplace. It's so empowering.
I think the point that you're making is getting out there, taking action. That's kind of a recurring theme, right? If you're going to be communicating, you're going to be speaking, you're going to be the authority, you have to take action. You have to be on social. You have to be active in a group or an association. And in this case, taking action. 1000 Watt did a survey. You can go find it from 1000 Watt if you're not familiar with them. Great branding agency in the real estate business, about how much more likely a seller in this market was likely to take action by just having a conversation with an agent, just a conversation. And so, to your point, you're going to find out where they're at, but if you don't have that conversation, you don't know. So, I want to ask you this as we wrap up. How important in this market, I think it's critically important, but I'm curious to your perspective, is mindset for an agent right now? And where do you see the agents that you're coaching that are on your team maybe struggle with mindset?
Listen, it is so rough when you're out there. You've taken a buyer to see 100 houses at this point. You've offered on 10 different homes. Each home has several offers, multiple offers going above, and it's very frustrating. It is. It's hard not to get down. But I tell them, listen, are we going to be a victor or are we going to be a victim? We have to be a victor. There's so many things we cannot control in this business, but there's so many things that we can control. So if we redirect our energy to what we can actually make an impact with, for example, that creating inventory campaign, right? There's so many opportunities going live on Instagram, talking about the housing market. If you take that action that maybe is not typical, and it's hard to take that action when you're working in your business, right? It's hard to work on your business, but it is more crucial than ever to work on your business, doing the sales and marketing type of things that are going to really push things to the next level. It is so hard to do that creative type of work when you feel like you're putting out fires, right? But I'll encourage you, the more that you are more of that victor mentality, to take that action to work on your business, it will pay dividends and dividends years and years and years to come. And you'll be able to look back at this time and say, you know what? That was rough, but I redirected my energy and I put it to what I could control. And because of that, you know, like a farmer planting the seeds, you know what? The weathers may not be great, but you were able to harvest the best business for yourself and your loved ones for years and years and years to come.
Well, listen, let's talk about the harvesting the seed you just mentioned. More long-term solid businesses will be built in a market like today than a market a year or 2 years ago, right? Because in a lot of cases, you don't have to develop those disciplines, and today you have to. So a couple things that I just took away from our conversation is take action and get out there and really, you know, be the expert to the community you serve. The second thing that I took away was, you know, really focusing in on controlling what you can control. You just said it right there. And I'll say this, that's not just a one-time activity. That may be a daily or hourly reoccurrence right now for some folks, because there's plenty that we can control. There's plenty that we can do. There are plenty of conversations that we can have if we're focused on having those conversations. So, Alexa, I'm always grateful for our time together and when we get a chance to spend a few minutes together. And I'm grateful for what you shared and the leader that you are in our business. So thank you for that.
David, thank you so much. That means so much. And really, this is so fantastic that we're able to collaborate. And it came from me literally just reaching out to say thank you. So I just want to say thank you again to you and your whole group at KCM. I truly, truly appreciate you guys. You guys have been part of my journey for so long, and I know this is just the beginning.
Thanks for tuning in to How's the Market. At Keeping Current Matters, we believe that everyone should feel confident when buying or selling a home. And this podcast is one part of our larger vision to change the way real estate professionals educate and serve their clients. So if you're looking for more resources to help you grow your business and stand out, visit keepingcurrentmatters.com. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. If you love our podcast, please share it with someone that you know could benefit from it. So here's to your success, and I'll see you next time.